What you're about to watch is a video clip from Sheila Jackson Lee during the last committee hearing in the House regarding the assault weapons ban. The vast majority of the arguments she makes in this particular video, a lot of anti-gunners make. So what I'm going to do is deconstruct these arguments one at a time.
H.R. 1808, the assault weapons ban of 2022, would prohibit the sale, manufacture, transfer, or possession of semi-automatic assault weapons and large capacity ammunition feeding devices. Whether we call them assault weapons or AR-15 style weapons, we all know that we're talking about civilian versions of firearms created for the military.
No, we know that you're lying and using a made-up term designed to scare and confuse people into voting for gun control. The guy who's responsible for popularizing the term assault weapon literally admitted this in 1988. In 1988, Josh Sugarman, the founder of the anti-gun group Violence Policy Center, wrote a gun control strategy memo where he literally said, the public misunderstanding over the nature of semi-automatics will play directly into the hands of the gun prohibition movement. The weapon's menacing looks, coupled with the public's confusion over fully automatic machine guns versus semi-automatic assault weapons, anything that looks like a machine gun is assumed to be a machine gun, can only increase the chance of public support for restrictions on these weapons. In short, y'all know exactly what you're doing, and you're doing it on purpose.
That was used in Buffalo. The people in Buffalo are still crying, and they're asking for relief.
Can someone explain to me why she's using a mass shooting that took place in a state that has an assault weapon ban to justify passing an assault weapon ban? The Buffalo shooter illegally modified his gun. Her using the Buffalo shooting is literally proving how ineffective an assault weapon ban is. The people in Tops didn't have AR-15s, but guess who did, even though New York has an assault weapons ban? The shooter. They don't think about the arguments they're making because they don't know what they're talking about, and they don't care. For crying out loud, this is the same woman who said this.
I've held an AR-15 in my hand. I wish I had it. It is as heavy as 10 boxes that you might be moving. And the bullet that is utilized, a 50 caliber, these kinds of bullets, need to be licensed and do not need to be on the streets.
Day after day, mass shooting after mass shooting, we're confronted with the carnage that is inflicted on the human body when these weapons of war are used against elementary-aged children, teachers, parade goers, high school students, worshipers, shoppers, and on and on. In America, gun violence is the leading cause of death among children, while mass shootings occur increasingly every year.
Here we go again with this misleading stat. The CDC study she's referring to that made this deceptive claim considers anyone from 1 to 19 years of age a kid. An 18 and 19-year-old are not kids, they're adults. 13 to 17 years old are not kids, they're teenagers. The vast majority of gun violence in this country takes place within divested inner-city minority communities due to gang violence committed predominantly by young male teens and adults, not children. She wants you to think that a bunch of 1 to 12-year-olds are being killed, when in reality, it's teenagers and young adults in very specific areas of the country that all suffer from the same terrible socioeconomic conditions. It is not a gun problem. It is a socioeconomic problem. Stop conflating the two just to push your agenda.
It is no secret that I'm adamantly opposed to assault weapons and large capacity magazines and implements that are designed for war. I am not against the Second Amendment, and I will take issue with any babble about this undermines the Second Amendment. It does not. It is to create a militia. Maybe the one aspect in the Second Amendment that my friends never talk about.
How do you claim you're not against the Second Amendment and then in the same breath say the Second Amendment is about the militia? The Supreme Court in the Heller decision literally said the Second Amendment guarantees an individual right to possess firearms independent of service in a state militia and to use firearms for traditionally lawful purposes, including self-defense within the home. This militia argument is a phenomenally stupid argument. Everyone knows the founding fathers didn't trust the government. They just fought a war against one. Why would they then write an amendment giving power to the government to keep and bear arms? So if the US government became tyrannical, the people would have to go to the same tyrannical government and ask them for guns to fight back against that tyrannical government. That's like expecting a robber to give you a gun so that you can use it to protect yourself against him. Ma'am, you are definitely against the Second Amendment. And the militia argument that she just made is literally saying the people don't have an individual right to keep and bear arms, which is the entire foundation of the Second Amendment. The people come with their personal guns to form the militia to fight off a tyrannical government, foreign or domestic. How the hell are the people going to fight off a domestic tyrannical government when they have to ask that same government for the guns they need to fight with?
Is to recognize that there are Supreme Court cases that said that we could regulate. Neither of these kinds of guns belong in the community. In 2019, the Judiciary Committee held a hearing on assault weapons. We heard testimony from a trauma surgeon.
Oh, stop it. You know damn well the Supreme Court said that we have a right to keep and bear arms that are in common use. There are over 20 million AR-15s in this country. It is uncontested that the AR-15 is in common use.
Would anyone on the other side dispute that this bill would ban weapons that are in common use in the United States today?
Yeah, that's the point of the bill.
So to clarify, Mr. Chairman, you're saying it is the point of the bill to ban weapons that are in common use in the United States today?
Yes, the problem is they're in common use.
And now you're trying to not only ban AR-15s, but other guns as well. And if we're just going to be honest, from the literal sense of the word, not you all trying to confuse what it actually says, it says the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So it's not even limited to AR-15s. It said arms. But for some reason, you guys have managed to bring us down to the point where we're literally arguing just to own the neutered version of the real thing we should be allowed to own in the first place.
There is no debating that when paired with large capacity magazines, assault weapons perform as they are designed, killing more people quickly. You can't stop them. There were eons, tens upon tens of guys with good guns in Uvalde, and they did nothing. Absolutely nothing with their guns. Nothing. Because they too must have thought this was a weapon of war. Because of their concealability, portability, lethality, assault weapons are often the firearm choice for perpetrators who commit startling public acts of mass murder. On July 4th, they are often the weapons used when law enforcement officers are targeted because due to their ability to overwhelm the typical gun sidearm, like the ghost gun assault weapon used in Third Ward, Texas, in my district, shooting 3 officers out in the open. H.R. 1808 will help gradually reduce the number of assault weapons and large capacity magazines available, keeping them out of the hands of criminals and out of the hands of people who are there to do deadly deeds and to kill our children.
She basically just exposed the contradiction in all of the talking points against the AR-15 that the anti-gun lobby has and doesn't even realize it. In one breath, the AR-15 is only a tool for killing a bunch of people. Yet when cops showed up at Uvalde, they all had AR-15s too. Then in another breath, they'll tell us that we'll need more than AR-15s to fight off a tyrannical government. Yet in Uvalde, you had a whole group of cops with AR-15s, ballistic shields, flashbangs, bulletproof vests, and they were held back by a cross-dressing team with one AR-15. So, is the AR-15 only a defensive weapon when cops are using it? And if your argument is that cops are only using them in defense of a mass shooter, then AR-15s are not just a tool for killing a lot of people. They are also used to defend people. You can't claim that the AR-15 is this unstoppable death machine and then turn around and tell us it's ineffective against a government when one kid with an AR-15 held off a group of police officers who had an entire police department at their disposal. The fact that you even brought up the Uvalde cops as an example is pretty stupid if you ask me. It literally proves why civilians need an AR-15, because we can't always rely on the police to save us, and so we need the most effective tool to do it ourselves, i.e. AR-15.
Therefore, this enables the states to do what they need to do. The bill contains many protections for responsible gun owners, hunters. It ensures owners of those grandfather weapons to store them securely and do not allow people prohibited from possessing. So they're grandfathered in. There are many weapons that are not included. It exempts antique and most manually operated firearms. In 1994 to 2000, it includes exemptions for specific uses such as law enforcement. We are reasonable people.
In short, do as I say and not as I do. Look, they don't want to ban hunting guns because old rich politicians like to hunt, and hunting guns aren't as effective in self-defense situations compared to semi-automatic rifles. They carved out an exception for police officers because whether you like it or not, they would be the enforcement arm if the government ever became tyrannical. I'm not saying all the police would subscribe to this, but many would. If the AR-15 is that evil or a weapon of war, There's no reason the police should have them either, right? This isn't about saving lives. It's about taking the most effective firearm that could be used by the people to defend themselves from not only criminals, but an overreaching government, foreign or domestic. Every argument they're making for the AR-15 can be made about any gun. You really think they'll just stop at AR-15s? They don't have an incentive to stop. They'll always have their bodyguards and government security, and you'll have nothing, and you'll feel safe. But ask yourself, when it's 2 a.m. and someone's trying to kick in your door and you're waiting on the police to get there, do you feel safe? There should be a link in the description section of this video, so click that link where you can find the I Am the Militia hat, I Am the Militia shirt, and a bunch of other two-way apparel that I know you guys will love.
You know, we talk a lot about empowerment in this country, except for when it comes to the Second Amendment. However, I can't think of anything more empowering than having the most effective tool to protect you and your family. So help me spread this message by liking and sharing this video with everyone you know. And don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment, because the Second Amendment, when it said militia, it wasn't talking about the government. It was talking about you. Also, if you want to know where to find the I'm the Militia shirt and merchandise, click the I'm the Militia link in the description section of this video.
And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and most importantly, make sure you hit that bell symbol.